In the time of the Mishnah and the Gemara, or even in the time of Chumash, they used to have the Kiddushin separate of the Chasen of the Nesuyin. It would take a year usually between when they got married by Kiddushin till there was the Nesuyin, which was when she came to live with him. About the time of Rasha, they stopped doing that and they started to do the Kiddushin and the Nesuyin together as we do today. That you do the Chupa and the Kiddushin is under the Chupa, so they are both together. There may be a lot of reasons why. At least we know one thing for sure. The whole sugya in the Torah of Meiti Shamra and the whole sugya in Gemara of Pesach Pasuach Motzosi and many other halachas are special halachas that are for this period of between the Chasana, the Kiddushin and the Nesuyin. It was a strange period when she is already married, but they still lived separately. The whole sugya of Chosn Abel Kalose Bebeis Hamov, all this is because of the difficulty of their officially getting married but still living separately in separate cities. So that made difficulties and complications. Probably this was one of the reasons why they selected to do it together. So then the whole period is illuminated. So actually, after they started, they didn't start it in one time. In the time of Rashi and Tosfos, they started it, but many did it together and many did it separately. Even after that, after Tosfos, where the Ashkenazim all did it together, the Sephardim did it still separately. The Torah writes that we still do it separately, which was much later. But eventually the Sephardim also started to do it together. So today, and many generations ago, you do it together. So what means together? Together means that the chuppah starts even before the Kiddushin. But it's obvious that the chuppah doesn't have any power of Nisuin, since there is not Kiddushin yet. But they are already standing under the chuppah. So that probably means that the second that he finishes giving the tabas and saying Hareyat Mekudeshesli, and while he is standing under the chuppah, so the Kiddushin and the Nisuin are being affected together.
So what's the Erusin? The
Erusin is what he gives her the ring and he says Hareyat Mekudeshesli Kedash Meitri Yisrael. That's Kiddushin. What? Nisuin that she becomes his wife by chuppah. We'll discuss soon what chuppah is. As we know, chuppah is the chuppah. So the regular chuppah, they are already doing that under the chuppah, the Kiddushin. So the second that he is giving the tabas and saying Hareyat Mekudeshesli, so she is married and already Nisuin also, because they are standing. But obviously the Nisuin cannot help anything before the Erusin. So we started it before, but it is affected right after the Kiddushin. This is in general. But being more specifically, there is a machleket what is chuppah and what is Nisuin today. Actually, there are 4 days. And according to these 4 days, there will be a different, when does she really become his wife? There are 4 days, they are all brought down in Shulchan Aruch and earlier in Tosfos and Gemara. What means chuppah that is Nisuin? There is one day that when the Badekanish, that he covers his face, this is the Nisuin. Heinumo is the chuppah. This is what Tosfos explains.
The Rebbe says in the Surim Kilchasa, he breaks it down to 7 shittas.
Okay, in general, there are 4 in the Shulchan Aruch brings. In Shulchan Aruch steht 4. The four that are brought in Shulchan Aruch, if there is a discussion of how many, we may look lechatchila in the Ramo what he says in Siman Samach Aleph.
But wasn't by the Badekanish, there was no Kiddushin, yeah?
What?
There was no Kiddushin by the Badekanish. Really, but that's
But when he does Kiddushin, she is already under the Badekanish. She doesn't take it off till after.
The Nesuin doesn't affect anything, we're not the Erusin.
Right. But the Erusin, the Nesuin is, as we'll see what the Ramo says. No, wer sagt, das ist ein Gloi? Only Gloi. Aber gleich, es ist Chal dos, as at the second that it Chals, the Kiddushin Chals also the Nesuin.
You need to have some form of a Gloi Muslim Afreya.
Who says?
Because if just covered, if it doesn't pertain to Nisuyin,
it pertains to Nesuin, but Nesuin can't be before Kiddushin. So the minute that Kiddushin helps, then helps the Nesuin. She is already under it, so then helps the Nesuin. It doesn't have to be Mila Mafreya, because she cannot be a Nesua before she's
it can be the Mafreya, but it does have to.
Nothing.
Not L'Shem Kiddushin.
No, she puts it in order that when the Kiddushin will be, she'll be under it. So let's see what the Rama says.
The pile, the Kiddushin is happening with the Hinuma on her anyway.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but the Hinuma,
so let's see.
So then what? Let's say you cover it. You gave you were kind of lady that she's an Arab, she's a Shmata. So then.
So the Shmata is in order. It should be in a Nesuin, but when is it going to be Chal later? Because later, when he gives the Kiddushin, it's already Nesuin. So the Rama says like this. Haminek Poshut Achshov in number 10 in Siman Nun Sif Aleph. Haminek Poshut Achshov Likris Chupa Mokim Shemachnisin Yerio Pruso Al Gabi Klunsois. This is what we call Chupa. Veyesh Emrim the Chupas Psula Mishiyotze Beinuma Almona is other dinim. Then Ahakach Melichenei Son Lebeison the goat for Yichud Zimmer. ואיכלים ביחד במוקים צנוע וזהו החופה הנהגס עכשיו, which is the third day, the day of the Rosh, that when they go into the Yichud room, not when everyone leaves the room and it's Yichud HaRoyel Biyeh, but the minute they go into a special room, that's when the chuppah, the Nesuin is Chal. Then comes the day of the Rambam that we'll see later in next Siman, that the Rambam says it doesn't help the chuppah till they are Yichud only by themselves, only 2 people locked. So we have 4 days in Shulchan Aruch what means chuppah. Or they numer the Badekanish, or when they go under the chuppah that we call chuppah, or when they go into the room, or when everyone is leaving the room and they stay there by themselves. So now let's see when she becomes Nesua. It's very obvious that before she is doing the Kiddushin, she is not Nesua. But the second that she gets the Tabas, and he says, Hareat Mukadeshes Lekidash Meshim Yisrael, she is already under the Inume, she is already under the Chuppah, so that second becomes the Nesuin. She is already Nesua. But according to the Rosh, the Rosh says that the chuppah is when they go into a closed room, even though if there are a few people with them. So then the chuppah she is not becoming a nesur right away. She is becoming a nesur when they go into the room. First he goes in, and then she goes in, and then she becomes nesur. The Rambam says that it has to be a chuppah yichud royal beer. So it doesn't help yet. Everyone has to go out of the room and they are staying there locked, and that's when they get Nesua.
In Svara, there's no difference between the chuppah and the yichud if the people are there.
No, there is, because the Rosh says that we do the brochas outside where everyone stands, because we want everyone to hear the brochas. But this cannot be considered Nesuim because this is not a mokim tzonua, as we see the Ramo says, ואחר כך מליחין עצם לביצום ואיכלים ביחד במוקים צנוע, וזה החופה הנהגת עכשיו.
It needs to be a room that is like it
Yes.
has no window.
It doesn't matter, but at least it has to be in a room where they are there, and even if there are more people, but it's not open for the public in the street. Rambam says, or in the Lashon of the Alter Rebbe, the Yichud that is a Mokim Tzonua, that is not Yichud Roy Lebiyah, it is called a Yichud with Shnei Shomrim. As we will see, the Alter Rebbe says it in Siman Shin Lametes, in the middle line, it says, Yesh liyachdom achar achupo, the second line, the kolchkenim number 9, the second line, the kolchkenim hoisot mev beleil hei, so couldn't be a yichud roy lebio, when is yachdo imoy al yedei beis shoimrim. It's not called yichud roy lebio, so it's not enough according to the Rambam, but this is the yichud that is chupe according to the Rosh. So we have 4 days in the chupe. So according to the first 2 days, the second the Kiddushin helps, that second the Nesuin also helps. But actually, this is not the case. We break the cup after the Sheva Brachos. And according
it's done, as if it's done.
For whatever, they say Chelachum. That's the second when, according to the first days, the Nesuin is Chal. And we will see soon why. And that will explain us our whole process of the chuppah, how we are doing that. There's a whole process. First there is Bedekenish. Then the Chosen goes under the chuppah, and the Kala comes under the chuppah, and they're circling. Then there is Kiddushin, he gives it a tabas. Then they announce somebody should read the Ksuvah. Then they give the Chosen the Ksuvah, the Chosen gives it to the Kala, and the Kala gives it to her mother for safekeeping. Then they say the Sheva Brachos. The whole process, why is this all needed? So we'll see why it is, and then we will see when is the Nesuin, when she becomes a real wife. Not in the second that she gets the Tabas. Then she is a Mekudeshes, but not a Nesua. So we'll see. Why do we have a minhag that we read the Ksuvah B'Rabim? Yes, obviously it's a kibbut for a Choshev Eid, a Choshev Rov, but this minhag is a minhag that the Rashi made and is brought in Teisves. And the reason for that, Teisves explains in Psochim. And he says, the reason for this is because since we decided to do the Kiddushin together with the Nesuin, so usually there is a kos shel Kiddushin, Eirosin, and there is a kos of Nesuin, the Sheva Brachos. It should be together. Like when we do Kiddush and Avdolah together by Yaknahaz, we do it on one cup and we say it all together. Sometimes we cannot do it together because it's the Chavilas, but here it's not a problem because it's the same subject as the Gemara says, just like Kiddushin and Avdolah the same. Why don't we do it in one course? Teisves says, because in Teisves period, still not everyone did the Chuppah and Kiddushin and the Nesuin together. Sometimes they do it separately. So they'll have to make, if they do it together, they do it on one case. If they do it separately, they do it 2 cases. So decided to do it all on 2 cases. But how could we do 2 cases, one after the other, it's the same thing? So they decided to make a hefsek between Kiddushin and Nesuin. What kind of hefsek should we do? They should read the Ksuvah loud. That was the minhag that the Rashi and Teisves was manning in order to make a hefsek between the Kiddushin and the Nesuin. Which means, What?
Why do you need to read it loud?
So what should he'll read it, and what is everyone going to do?
He said like,
The idea is to make a hefsek, for everyone should not stand and look on the sky. So they made it a corner, Rashi made it a corner.
Didn't have cell phones, smartphones in those days.
So it means for us that the minute he gives you the tabat and he says Aret courageously, she is not Nesua yet, even though they are under the chuppah, even though she is under the hinume, but they have in mind that the Nesuin shouldn't be chal till they make the hefsek.
How do I bracha asur l'mayla?
1 second, we didn't get to this point yet. First, without that, they want to make a hefsek, and then they make a second course. So that's why it cannot be the Nesuin till after they finish reading the Ksuvah. They had that in mind. After they finish reading the Ksuvah, it's not finished yet. Whoever reads the Ksuvah, turns around the Ksuvah, gives it to the Chosen, the Chosen gives it to the hand of the Kala, and the Kala gives it someone for safekeeping. Why this process? So this process is, even though if those that don't hold like the Rambam, they still want to be Yetze even according to the Rambam. And according to the Rambam, the Chuppah has to be royal Kiddushin. And as long she does not get the Ksuvah, you are not allowed to live together. So it's not Yichud royal beer. So he has to give her actually the Ksuvah, she should receive it. And then he has the obligations of the Ksuvah, and then it could be a real Nisuin.
But this is zwei Dinnen. Not only because she needs the Ksuba, because the Ksuba is signed and sealed. It's because of the Dinner Choshe Mishpat that the Kenyan is not Chalpus.
Correct. It's because the Lake Ksuva is Be'ilas, as the Mishnah says in Ksuves, in number 1, Kol ha'peches lepsulo mimosayim u'la'almona mimone harei be'ilas znus.
But the sign and seal, the Eidim of
No, he didn't give it to you. If you hold it, but he doesn't give it to her.
Oh, that's a din Kenyan.
Okay, so she is not getting it. So in order for that to make the takona, you should give her the ksuva. And in order to make the hefsed, they read the ksuva before he's giving her. And this is what...
If it doesn't actually the husband doesn't give it, someone else gives it.
No,
he has to give it to her.
She has to.
That's the Kenyan.
She needs to get it, or
he has to give it to her. That's the Kenyan. So we'll see how the Rambam says it. The Rambam speaks about writing the ksuva and signing it, but we do it even to give it. So you see in number 5, Halacha Zayin, V'tzorich lichtiv ksuva kedim k'nisa l'chupo. So explains the Magid Mishneh, mitnei shu sever de beinen l'chatchil l'chupo ru'uya l'bio, sh'layach sar dover afilu midivreya. So therefore, the process is that first you do a nume, then the chuppah, then the kiddushin, then the reading the ksuva, and then the mesiras haksuva. After mesiras haksuva, we do the brochas, sheva brochas. We did already the hefsek, so we can do the brochas. But why do we do the brochas in the chuppah? We are just waiting now, and we'll say the brochas in the end of the Suda. We say the brochas. Why do we have to say it before? It's the same Suda. It's not because we must, by the chuppah, by the kiddushin, have a shev brochas. You could have at the end of the Suda. The reason why we're having the brochas before the yichud is the same reason. Because it says in number 3 in Maseches Kale, Kalo bleibrocho asuro lebailo kenido. We want it should be the Sheva Brochas of after the Suda is the Sheva Brochas for the Suda. This Sheva Brochas is in order they should have a Yichud Royal Beer.
Why not for Shavuot? Because I can use this one bracha.
No, the Kala B'lei Brocha means the Sheva Brochas. That's the Suin, the Sheva Brochas.
That's the B'lei bracha all the time.
B'lei Brocha means the Sheva Brochas. So therefore we will see now in the Beis Shmuel the last number 12. So he says in Shulchan Aruch levarach birchas chasanim, which means the Sheva Brochas, but Beis HaChosin keiden nisuin. So he says kein kosav Rambam uleshitos shapir mishum desvira lechupa hainu yichud ve'ot solis yachad b'lei brochas harosh tzvira ledelei beinachol perui lebia tzvira ledein tzorich levorach keidem akniso. The reason why we do the separate the second time the Sheva Brochas in the chuppah in addition to what we say later is it should be good even according to the Rambam that before the Yichud it should be already as the Sheva Brochas.
How do you know that? How do you know Chupa bracha means the Sheva Brochas, not the bracha on the Chupa?
Because that's the reason why you see the Beis Shmuel says that's the reason why we say the Sheva Brochas.
Which other bracha could it be? Edison? Yeah.
No, Erosin is before.
Right.
We're speaking about a year later.
I understand. So how do you know that's not the bracha?
Because you see that you see that Beis Shmuel explains that's why we say the Sheva Brochas. There is no other reason why we should say the Sheva Brochas under the chuppah. We're saying it by the Suda.
But you're saying Kala B'lei bracha. How do you know Kala B'lei bracha?
You see, according to what they explain that, you see that they don't learn like that. Because there is no question that without Nisuin he's not allowed to live with her. Because that Beis Chamov, here we're speaking already that he's going to his house. But still then, a year later, we don't say Birkas Erusin. We say Birkas Nisuin, which is the Sheva Brochas.
Time of the Mishnah, Birkas Erusin was 12 months ago. Which Kala B'lei bracha? Why would they say B'lei bracha if that's the Sheva Brochas?
And that's what he says, the Rambam says in number 5, Sif Gimel, Halacha Gimel, Tzorech levorach birkas chasanim bebeis chosim kedim nesuim. It's not the kedim erusin that we say the brocha. It's the kedim nesuim, which is the Sheva Brochas. A year earlier they did the birkas erusin.
I think what he's establishing that Kala B'lei bracha, first of all, Sheva bracha. Birkas chasanim is also Sheva bracha.
Right.
It's all the same
Yes.
title.
Because the other thing is called Birkas Erusin, not Birkas Chasanim.
Actually, the Alter Rebbe's title is Birkas Erusin V'Nisuin. The Alter Rebbe,
Okay,
Sheva bracha
yes,
is-
because he has both. Because he has both
No,
brothers.
the Sheva bracha is this, Birkas Sheva bracha, Birkas
Yes,
Nisuin.
yes. So, it comes out that according to the first 2 days, that the chuppah is the chuppah or the heinume, we still don't have she is not getting married completely after he gives her the ring. Then we have to read the ksuva. Then we have to give her the ksuva. Then we have to say Sheva Brochas. And after we finish the Sheva Brochas, then we have in mind now it's the Nisuin. That's why then we break the cup and we say Mazel Tov, that's the end of Nisuin.
Not Nisuin yet, because afterwards going to Yichud.
Well, we're speaking about the first 2 days. The Teisvus Day. The Teisvus Day, that's the end.
Okay, because now Yichud is
Okay,
over.
now, right? Now we're getting to the Rosh, and then we'll get to the Rambam. According to the Rosh, then when we finish the Sheva Brochas, it's not Nisuin yet. We have to go into the room. The reason why we did it, the Sheva Brochas, not in the room, is being explained because we want everyone to hear. So we do it in the public place, but that's not Nisuin yet. That's a preparation to the Nisuin. Then when they go in, and that's according to the Rosh. As the Alter Rebbe explained before, it's a yichud with 2 shomrim, he calls it. A yichud, it's not a yichud, because it's not a yichud royal beer, but it's a yichud with 2 shomrim, because according to the Rosh, it's enough.
Only 2 sham, they stand by the door?
Stand inside.
Huh?
If it's a nideh,
Only if it's needed.
they make it shouldn't be so nicker, so they close the door, but 2 people are standing in the room with them. What? We'll get to that soon. Rambam says that this is still not Nisuin. When is the Nisuin? When everyone goes out and they stay by themselves. Okay, there's a minute that you should wait the period of of royal beer. But not everyone agrees to that. It has to be Yichud royal beer, but does not necessarily have to take this 5 or 8 minutes. But we do it.
Why is okay? So Yichud.
So Yichud. But that's according to the Rambam. So the Rambam says that the Nisuin is finishing later. And if she is a Nido, he says, delay the Chasana. We don't delay the Chasana. So he says, if you don't delay the Chasana, don't make Sheva Brachas. Because the Nisuin is not going to be today, it's going to be in a week. Don't say Sheva Brachas. Let's see how the Rambam says it in number 5, in Ish Perik Yud, in Siv Halacha Vov, V'leit Yinos Nido Ad Shetitha. Ve'ein Vorchen Lo Birkas Chasanim Ad Shetitha. When she becomes clean, that's when she says Sheva Brachas. So, which means that we do not paskin like the Rambam. Because we do say Sheva Brachas even when she is a Nida. And we do not delay the Chasana when she is a Nida. So we do not paskin like the Rambam.
But you say the Sheva Brachas even before you're going to do Yichud anyhow.
Right, so that we'll discuss it too. So we are just making the whole process of the chuppah. It should help according to the Rambam, as the Rebbe Shmuel says, Lefi the Rosh, you don't need all this. You don't need Sheva Brachas under the chuppah. We do it for the Rambam. But for the Rambam, it helps only when she is not a Nida. When she is a Nida, according to the Rambam, it doesn't help. We say Sheva Brachas right away because we're not paskening like the Rambam.
So why do we need to wait? Why do we have to make a Yichud room like we have today?
Because we want to be Eitzeh according to the Rambam too. Because according to the Rambam, it's not Nesuin yet.
But if it's a nida and she did have it, like how do you?
So then you're not relying on the Rambam.
Then you're not.
That's the pashtus. Here comes the problem. So we decided, as far as till now, that we do not paskin like the Rambam. Because by Chupas Nida we do a Chupas Nida. And we do the Sheva Brachas. We are doing the whole process only. It should be even according to the Rambam when it helps.
But why wouldn't you do a Chupas Nida even if you don't agree that it's becoming a full wife? You make a Chupas Nida, but she still won't become a full-fledged wife.
So then when would you say the Sheva Brachas? Says the Rambam, don't say the Sheva Brachas till she can become.
You say it, who cares? You say it.
Because you cannot say it. You have to say it when she by the Chasana.
You say it by the Chub anyhow.
Because it's if you 2 minutes before, it doesn't matter. So that we will discuss. That we're going to discuss.
The Rambam Packet says that she say the Sheva Brachas when she becomes a Torah.
Right? Yes, the Rambam says you should wait a week. So with the Rambam. That means that we do not care for the Rambam when there is a problem. So we'll see soon if we do not care or we do. We'll see now that the Alter Rebbe is cheishish to the Rambam even if with the Evet. And then we will have to find out if we really don't care about the Rambam's shita with the Evet. The Alter Rebbe speaks it in Hilchas Shabbos. Then he says there is a machlekes if chuppah sheina ruya lebiyah is a chuppah or not. He starts speaking about almoneh. Almoneh is one stage higher because a chuppah doesn't help almoneh. So if, according to the Rosh, that the chuppah is even without banide, so by almoneh it has to be yichud ruya lebiyah. According to the Rambam, the chuppah is yichud ruya lebiyah. So by almonah is not kena till they are living together. So he has a whole process. He explains that. Why does he have to explain that in Hilchas Shabbos? Because they used to do always the chasana on Friday. That's how it was the minhag. All the Rabbeim's chasana was also mainly on Friday. Probably the reason was because they didn't want to make a whole Suda in the middle of the week. It was hard, so they did it together with like the Shalom Zohar now. Everyone ate this Suda Shabbos, and then they came to dance, whatever the reason is. But that's how they do it. comes a problem, sometimes they're doing the chuppah, they're trying to finish it before Lichtzenden, and then Lichtzenden comes. No. He starts speaking about Mona, and then speaks about the regular. And then comes in the Shabbos and they still didn't do the Yichud. Could they do the Yichud?
Kinyan Shabbos.
Yichud is a Kinyan, she becomes his wife. Says the Alter Rebbe, according to the Rambam, she can't. According to the Rosh, they already went to the Yichud room. According to the Rambam, there was still not Yichud Royal Beer. So she should not make Yichud, they should not be together till after Shabbos. They shouldn't go sleep in a room together.
I understand that.
You understand that?
Yeah.
So that means that we are machmir according to the Rambam, even b'diavad.
Why? No, could be the fact that you're choishish to the Rambam.
Even b'diavad.
Why are you doing it? Why are you going into that room?
Because they want to live together.
Okay, so
because the night after the chasana, they want to sleep in the same room.
Okay, so you're Megala Das.
We're not Megala Das. They want to sleep together. They want to live together.
But you're Megala Das. Like, why are you going into the room? Why?
Because they want to live. Because they want to go sleep. And why should they go sleep separately?
No, I'm saying according to the Rosh.
Why? According to the Rosh, why shouldn't they want to sleep? Don't husband and wife go to sleep in the same room?
No, according to the Rosh is not opinion already.
Oh, but according to the Rambam, there was no kinyan, but they still want to go to sleep together. If we are not cheshes b'diavad to the Rambam, why shouldn't they go sleep in the same room?
Oh, he said you shouldn't sleep in the same room. No?
Let's see what the Alter Rebbe says. In the last line of number 9, he explains all the details. Then he says, גם בפסולו, שחופו קיינה יש ליחדו אחר ייחוד ייחוד גומר או לביע קדם השבס. leitis yachad yichud gomer kol ha-Shabbos kulo. Why? כדי לא חוש לסבור אחרינו, to the Rambam, שיחוד גומר או נקרא חופו, ולא חופו שלי. ואוסו לעשה בתחילה בשבס. According to the Rosh, there is no problem. So they are not allowed to go sleep in one room because we are cheshes to the Rambam, even b'diavad.
They said they give the Yichud Sibur before Shabbos.
No.
Only then.
So who cares? Sie haben gewesen mit dort, und sie haben gewesen nach Chuppe, und sie haben reingehen in Zimmer, es ist nicht gewesen. There was no Yichud Royal Beer.
Sag doch, Yichud, erst mal nach Chuppe, Yichud Royal Beer, Kedem Shabbos.
Kedem Shabbos. Und nicht spät. And if they didn't...
It is spät.
Yes, so you were cheshes to the Rambam even b'diavad. For the issue of Kinyan is not such a harsh issue. Why? Because it's Kinyan mitzvah, and in very many cases, Kinyan mitzvah is mutter b'Shabbos and Yontif, Erev Pesach and things like that. So here we're machmir so much because according to the Rambam there will be a problem. So we are cheshes to the Rambam.
What's that going to do? I feel like the Rosh. We both see the Yichud.
Nee, we see ook when I Yichud on.
Dat is de Rebbe heeft ze die Yichud.
Good. Je moet verstaan. Je gaat toch tot mij? So what does it mean? Why chupas nido? We say Shevach right away, even though the Nisuim will be a week later or 10 days later. And here we are machmir to the Rosh, to the Rambam.
Could be like the Rosh, like he said.
No, but according to the Rosh, there was no problem because he says even they went to Yichud, but there was no Yichud. They didn't go out of the room, so you can't.
This is Lemaisa?
Lemaisa, he says. Even if Friday they did a Yichud and they didn't leave the room before the Shkia, they're not allowed to be together all Shabbos. So we still are not makbid for Yichud Nida.
Friday anyway.
Yes, but the question is the Rambam. So we are not machmir if the chuppah is a nida, if the chalkal is a nida, we don't care about it. And then we say Sheva Bachas right away. We don't wait 10 days for the Sheva Bachas. Not like the Rambam says. So we have to separate these two subjects. The Rambam says here two halachas. One is the Nesuin don't help till they are clean and they are together. And the second is that you cannot say that brocha before. We will have to say that we are machmir according to the Rambam that the Nisuyin is not till later. But we're still not passing like the Rambam. We say that we could start the Shev Mochas right away, 10 days before she becomes Nisuyin. How we divide it? So we'll see, even in normal circumstances, the Shev Mochas we say under the Chupa. Then they say everyone tells the Mazel Tov. And they speak, and they walk, and they go into the room, and they take pictures, and they give them something to eat, and then they take off their kittel, and it takes half an hour. After all this, everyone leaves the room, and they stay to themselves, and that's the Nisuyin. Now, but we still say the brochas half an hour earlier, so we don't care about that. But the Rambam doesn't care about this half an hour, but he cares if it's days. So we don't pass like him. Where do we see that these are two separate subjects? In one of them we are machmir like the Rambam even with the Evet, and in the second we do not care. So we'll see that in the Rambam himself, and then we'll see that how we pass. Says the Rambam, I don't have it here, but in the end of this Halacha Vov says that if she's a nida and they said Shev Brochas right away, they don't have to say it later when she becomes Torah. Comes the question why? She wasn't married till now. She's married 10 days later. When she's getting married, she has to say Shev Brochas. It's already finished the Shev Brochas of the 7 days. Why shouldn't she have to say Shev Brochas? So it's enough what they said before. Why is it enough? So we see it's two separate halachas. Let's see further how the Ramos says. The Ramo is just cheshish to the Rambam. But let's leave that. And let's see an interesting halacha that the Ramo says. In Simen Samachalef, in number 11. The last line. In Kiddush Betos, they made a Kiddushin, and then they found out the ring wasn't his, or something else, and the Kiddushin, they have to do the Kiddushin again, and the next day, or a few days later. Several days later, Noida, Shakiddushin Hoy Betos. After Pishachedro Mekacho, he is doing the Kiddushin again a few days later. Ein tzorich levorich shenis sheva brochas. Sagela bebrir brochas arishenis. That has nothing to do with the Rambam. There was no Kiddushin. The Kiddushin is a week later we found out there was a toast in the Kiddushin. So why should it help what he said the birchas nisuin the sheva brochas before? We see that the Shev Brochas...
What does the Brachas accomplish? It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't accomplish in the Suyin, the Brachas.
But in the Suyin you need Shev Brochas. You don't need... it doesn't help that a week before the Nisuyin he did Shev Brochas. So he says he shouldn't. Why not? So we see that helped. Why did this help? Because the process started. We are holding Lahatchila, we want everything to be together. In case of emergency like Shizanita, according to the Rambam, or if we found out it was Kiddushin Tos, and a week later they did the Kiddushin again, Shev Brochas is done. They already started the process. So it's Chal. So therefore, no, that's what it says, not. Even the Kiddushin was the Tos. There was not, the ring wasn't enough, or there was another Kiddushin Tos. Nein, die Kirchen sind keine Erusim, weil sie gewinnen ein Tos in die Kiddushin. Yes, and no Erusim. The process started. So we see here the Shev Brachas, we're trying it to be together, but if it's done earlier, it helps. So the Alter Rebbe says a very interesting halacha here. Friday they did the Kiddushin, and they did the Nisuim, they did the Yichud, but not everyone left the room before Shabbos came. So the Nisuim didn't finish yet. So then they eat the Suda at night. They are not allowed to live together yet. They're not allowed to go into a room together yet. But are they saying the Sheva Brachas by the Suda? Yes. He doesn't say not to say the Sheva Brachas. He says if that happened, they shouldn't be together. He doesn't say, don't say Sheva Brachas. He should say, don't say Sheva Brachas, don't say Shabbos. So we see here itself that the Alter Rebbe is dividing it. So we don't care by the Evet for the Chumrah of the Rambam that you should push off the Sheva Brachas 10 days later till she becomes Torah. We don't care about that with the Evet. But we do care that actually she is not in the Surah yet till 10 days later.
My asking you that.
Nafkemina in the Gemara would be Legabe Neder und Legabe was? Legabe die Dinge von Mitzvah Sherma, Legabe die Dinge. Again, darf ich gleich von Kiddushin? Aber die alle Dinge von between Kiddushin and Nisuin will be by her, not by like by us for 10 minutes. It will be by her for 11 days.
So our whole machlokes with the Rambam is whether you say
the Sheva
Brachas earlier, or you say
yes,
later.
but the Nisuin, the Alter Rebbe is Cheshesh that even with the Eved were Cheshesh to the Rambam. That's the only way how to explain that the Alter Rebbe paskins like the Rambam in one thing and not like the Rambam in second thing.
One's brachas, so one's...
Yeah, but the brachas we say by Nisuin.
But the two...
If the Nisuin is 11 days later, why we know. If she's a nida, we know. The whole public maybe wouldn't know, but we know. So if she's a nida, why do we say Sheva Brachas in the 7 days?
But
so this shows that it's a separation.
But it's also a separation because there's two different dinim. One's a dinim bracha.
Yes.
And one's a dinim in Kiddushin.
But two dinim, but in Pashtas, the din of Brachas is Birkas Nisuin. So when you do the Nisuin, you do the Bracha. You don't do it 11 days earlier.
Yeah, but that's our whole machlokes. Our whole machlokes is in bracha.
Okay, so Lagabe
bracha, you can put a Birkas Ananim, say an Indian.
No, it's not a Birkas Ananim. It's Birkas Mitzvah. So you have to be when you do the mitzvah. You can't do a Bracha Birkas Mitzvah 11 days earlier. So they say it's not considered. It's called Birkas HaShvach. So Birkas HaShvach, we learn here, could be 11 days earlier. No, we're speaking even according to the Rambam. Even according to the Rambam, would be made there that the Sheva Brachas I could do 11 days earlier before the Nisuin starts. But according to this, in any case, that gives us the understanding of the schedule of the chuppah. It's not only to do it for a way it should be helping even according to the Rambam that we do not paskin like that. We do paskin like the Rambam. So therefore we need and we want it should be right away. So therefore we need to say to give her, to hand over the ksuva to her, and we need to say the Sheva Brachas, and we need to have the real Nisuin, the Yichud HaRoyal Biyah. The whole process of the chuppah is according to the Rambam that we do Cheshesh to the Rambam's Shitte. Only Legabe Sheva Brachas we don't.